friends, as I sit here this morning on the day I'm shooting this, still no baby. It makes me feel a little more comfortable to shoot a few things in advance, you know, before he gets here. It's like nesting for beauty gurus or something. So here's the idea I had today. I recently got from Ulta this massive sample bag here, and it had a ton of like complexion related samples was the main deal. It was the thing that was sitting back here behind me in another video, and I actually thought as soon as I opened up the clips to edit, I'm like, that looks like a bag of Hawaiian rolls back there. Like I've just stashed them behind my shoulder or something, which would have been a pretty epic thing to do, but it's full of samples. And that kind of got me thinking, hey, I want to try some of this stuff. Like it's really some items I want to experiment with. And then that gave way to, well, let's just do a full face of samples. Because there are things that I get quite often in my Sephora Play box. So that's mixed in here. I've got a few little drugstore things that came out of a mini kit. So we're going to see what we can do and put together the full face. Here's another thing that was in that little bag, was actually a mini IT Cosmetics brush. I mean, this was a legit good sample bag, was it not? It's the Airbrush Blurring Foundation Brush. So I'm gonna pop this puppy open. Yeah, I could probably be satisfied with that for my foundation. So in the spirit of doing things mini, we're gonna use this. And then I think we'll move on to a primer. This one is from Wander Beauty. So this probably came out of a Sephora Play box. It's the Glotion Lotion Illuminance. And they say it's a skincare enriched hydrating lotion that delivers a beautiful sheer champagne gold finish, and you can wear it over or under makeup. Yeah, it does have kind of a beigey look to it. Nice little glow. I got a lovely zit cropping up right here. Wow, that does give a really pretty sheen to the skin. I was gonna say, it reminds me of this thing from L'Oreal called Glotion also, only Wander spells it with a W and this does not have a W. Or this Soft Focus Glow from Milani. L'Oreal Visible Lift has something kind of like that as well. The market isn't exactly hurting for stuff like that, but that was pretty all over the skin. And then here's the foundation I really wanna try that I've not tried yet at all. And it's the Urban Decay Stay Naked. So this has been out for some time, and I got this big old sample card with a bunch of shades, and so I'm thinking I'm going to be maybe in the 20 CP. I'm not sure how accurately. I'm just going to have to peel it back and see. Okay, that's probably my shade here because it says cool, pink undertone. It's got fair there. That doesn't look like a lot of product. I might need to dip into a couple more. Let's see, let's just dab it on, I guess. Just dabbing straight from the sample here. There was a sample of the new Charlotte Tilbury foundation that came in this very same format, and I was like, I'm lately realizing a lot that I don't need a ton of foundation, but the sample was barely doing it for me. So here, like, I'm not sure. Let's just start on the blending, and then we'll see if we need more. We'll go to a new shade. Is this supposed to be like a really light coverage product? This brush is great, by the way, for as little as it is. I feel like it's buffing wonderfully. I wonder if this little sample set is more of like just helping you guide you to your shade match as opposed to being a full face all over, because that just did not seem to do enough. I'm gonna have to pull in another shade. Go down here to the one underneath it. Yeah, that looks like it could still work. So the first one I used was 20 CP. This is 30 NN. Just very little on these. Okay. We're trying. We're gonna scrape this look together somehow, friends. I'm just gonna focus it mainly on the center of the face and just let the chips fall where they may. Let's see what kind of coverage can this give? I feel like this is now probably a bit more true to what the foundation would actually do. I've just got a little more product on the skin to work with. No, I would not call it light coverage. That seems to be a pretty natural coverage, and it seems pretty matte. What do they call it? Flexible, breathable, real skin matte finish, medium buildable coverage. Okay. Claims to not transfer, stay true to its color. It's waterproof and vegan formula. All right, thank you, Urban Decay. I think we're all blended in there as much as we can be. Then I've got a concealer. It says cover up without the touch-ups, Beyond Perfecting Super Concealer from Clinique. And I have the shades Very Fair, Moderately Fair, and Deep. In terms of that spread, I bet I'm like Very Fair. Same exact little peel back format. And here's a situation where that amount probably is going to be really adequate. So I'm applying it to my under eye, kind of out here. Oops. Got a bonus brush hair in there. I'm gonna use it as sort of a brightener right here and brighten up here and the sides of the nose. Yeah, this is plenty of concealer, I think. And my little zit friend. Cover up without touching up for 24 life-proof hours. Gosh, if I go into labor today, I guess I'm set. It did seem to have a very thin, kind of liquidy consistency. How's this coverage? I mean, I'm kind of liking that. I'm just using that little brush to blend in. I see me using this brush a lot going forward, actually. I've used the Beyond Perfecting foundation. It's been years, I think, but that stuff I recall having some really great coverage to it. And this stuff is seeming pretty good too. I think it may have been just a little light to super effectively get the dark circle. Like realistically, my shade might be a hair darker than that Very Fair 04, but all in all, I do feel brightened, so that's good. For powders, I do have a mini that I've actually had in my collection for a little while that I'm gonna use here. It's the Double Take Baked Versatile Powder Foundation in medium from Laura Geller. And this was actually an amazing sample to get. This powder is so like creamy, about as creamy as powders get. Like it's got a really beautiful texture, and I do use it quite a bit, not necessarily to like set the under eye area, but just kind of all over the skin, because it is, like they say, a powder foundation, and this medium shade does have a little depth to it, so I don't really take it up to my under eye, but I think it could kind of help us set elsewhere. But it's interesting, it's like, why did they come out with that? Are they trying to just give another option to balance and brighten, which is kind of the mega hit from Laura Geller's line? I don't know about you, but that just kind of helped my skin out overall. Like it brought everything together. The multiple shades of foundation, the concealer. Now moving on with face steps, in case you didn't get enough butter content recently on my channel, I do have some of these minis that came out of the new Baby Butter Tropical Getaway collection. So they put out one or two maybe mini collections months and months back, and now they've got yet another one if you're interested. And this one does include the deep bronzer, which is nice to see. So instead of just by default throwing in that lightest original shade, they're giving you the deep here. So I know what this is going to do. I know I'm going to like this, but it is mini, so I can use it in this video. It's kind of interesting as you build your look. Sometimes it's like, well, maybe things don't have to be perfect yet because blush is still coming, blush and bronzer, and maybe that'll save everything. I'd love to know in the comments section how often you use your samples, or do they just kind of stockpile and sit there? Because I do think that is an issue for me sometimes, especially I get stuff in these play boxes and I'm like, just, you know, sit it aside. Some things I'm really prompted to use right away, but other things just don't get the love, you know? So this kind of feels good to branch out a bit more. And then there was a mini blush in that collection, and this is Vintage Rouge. Was I calling this shade Vintage Rose in the big palette? Probably. Yet another kind of rich shade to be included in that newest butter mini set, baby butter set. And so now we can see what this looks like just all on its own on my cheeks. Super workable shade, I think, for a lot of people. Kind of reminds me of the Blush in My Needs palette, actually. A shade that's rich enough to really provide a blushed look on just about anyone. Yeah, I do really like that. I like that color a lot. Yay, thank you, blush. And let it come up. Let it just bless the whole face. Now I've got a couple of options here. We could do a butter highlight. I have the shade Champagne, or we could pull in something different. I do have this mini Gold Rush. Let's just go ahead and try the Champagne because I actually haven't ever worn this shade of the butter highlight before. So it's got definitely some gold. Ooh, did I pick up too much there on my brush? Oh, it's pretty though if you buff. It's got that crazy golden streakiness when you first put it on, just a streak of gold. But if you're willing to just buff for a moment, you get a nice soft glow. This was like that biggest shade that they put in the big butter book thing. That's what I'm calling it, the butter book. The big mega palette that I reviewed recently. Okay, so I'm buttered, I'm glowy. I have a mini size of this all-nighter setting spray. I might just want to throw this in the old hospital bag. I'm so glad I finally have a mini here because I've had a mini de-slick for a long time and that's now gone. And I'm talking mini. This is 0.5 fluid ounces. Like, it's a really nice small size. It's definitely smaller than like my honey. And I know I love all-nighters, so this is going to get a lot of use just in a travel capacity going forward. Does anyone else feel like they require fewer sprays of all-nighter? Even in their smaller sizes, I feel like it has more of like a spray span or whatever you want to call that. Like, it takes me about 4, whereas with other ones, I might do like 5 or 6 sprays. I dug deep and there were absolutely no sample brow products. That's just apparently not something the beauty marketplace is putting out a lot of. So I just went ahead and filled those in with my new Maybelline Brow Precise Micro Pencil, and then I set them with the Busy Gal Brows from Tarte. I also went ahead and primed my lids, and I've got this itty bitty thing here from Beauty by Pop Sugar. I've never used it, but it's like a little eyeshadow stack. So the top comes open. This is small. This actually makes my little subtle beauty stack here. When you look at them size-wise put together, it makes this one look big. But eyeshadow is another thing that I couldn't really find anything sample size. I think there are certain products that refer to themselves as mini, like I have a mini or fun size Violet Voss palette, but it's still like this big, you know, it's just the way they chose to market it. And I've got a mini Physicians Formula duo, but I thought you've probably seen enough Physicians Formula lately. So I thought I'd just at least go for something small, and I haven't used this before, so we'll see how it is. But I think brands are like, oh, mini foundations, sure, we'll give you all the samples. Mini concealers, why not? Mini eyeshadows, buy the palette. This is in the shade, it says Trio Time Eye, and it's in the shade Dubai. And we do have a nice matte creasy looking color right here. So I'm going to dab into that. And this is my Wayne Goss number 18 brush. I find myself liking to kind of get the shadow is on this part mainly, and I'm kind of wedging it into my crease. But we've got this matte brown, we've got kind of a rose gold shimmer, and then on top there is this navy blue with a little embedded sparkle. This matte here seems to be doing just fine. I'm just trying not to pick up too much at once because I wasn't quite sure what it would do. Okay, then I'm going to take my e.l.f. flat brush and I'm going to go into that navy. And I'm just dabbing this on the outer part of my eyelid. It looks like you're going to get a mainly just matte effect from this shade, even though like it shows a little sparkle there in the pan. It's one of those where it's not quite concentrated enough to really do a lot for you. And I'm kind of putting this over a lot of the lid actually. I think it makes the look a bit more interesting than just rose gold all over. Okay, so I've got that pretty well all over the lid. It's a very dusty kind of blue shade, you know, you're not gonna get a lot of like, holy cow, you look so blue with that eyeshadow on. You know, it's kind of murky, smoky, if you will, so that's okay. But my brush there that I was using, my e.l.f. brush, is just so dang flat that it kind of needs a little help working up into the other shade. So this is just my Sigma E42. It's a newer brush that they've got that's a little more precise. It's like really good actually for outer corner type stuff. And then I can go back with my Wayne Goss and go back with my middle shade and sort of bring that out a little bit more. Then cleaning off our flat brush, we're gonna go to the rose gold right here. See what that shimmer is like. Just dabbing it on here, like it's not crazy intense, like it swatches fine, it's just not a really, really bright shade. I remember using navy quite a bit, like when I was kind of learning about makeup. I remember being back in the apartment and kits would come out for your specific eye color. That was a trend for a while, and brown eye kits would often include navy. And so I would think I needed to have on hand navy eyeshadow and navy eyeliner. That rose gold was just a very soft shade. Again, it's not about the quality of the product or the intensity or whatever. It's just the shade they chose. It's not super bright, you know, not really reflective and metallic. And then I'm taking just a bit of navy to smudge here. Just a little smudgeroo on the outside. Give me a little definition today. Some days I feel like it, some days I don't. So what do you think, guys, about the eye? I kind of come away feeling like, yeah, that'll do. You know, I'm not jumping up and down for it, but it was okay. I think the shades did have decent pigmentation, were easy enough to work with, and they are very tiny. Now I've got the cutest little samples here of my Bobbi Brown cream gel, longwear gel eyeliners, they're called. I've got the bronze shimmer and the espresso ink, and I think I'm gonna do the espresso ink. I also have a lovely little capped mini brush here. I actually got an awesome deal on these. They came, both of them, with my order of just a full-sized black in the Bobbi Brown eyeliner. Now I'm just going across my upper lash line with this stuff, and it's seeming a little bit dry. I haven't had it for that long. Definitely drier than my full size. Maybe their capping mechanisms on minis just don't keep them as fresh. I need to use my black more though. I remember being inspired to repurchase that because I saw somebody tight lining with this cream and gel liner, and it looked really good and it seemed very effective, so I'm like, I need to get that in my life. But this shade that I'm using here is just a very, very dark brown, near black. Now my bronze shimmer seems plenty juicy and nice and rich still. It's just my espresso ink mini that seemed already a little bit dry. Moving on, I have this that came in my play box. It's the Caution Extreme Lash Mascara from Hourglass. I actually have used this kind before and I liked it. So I'm like, hey, I welcome the opportunity to use a mini again of this stuff. Although mini mascaras, I've kind of ranted on them before. I feel like a lot of times it's a different experience than what you get with the full size, because oftentimes they give you their full size brush, but it's coming out of a mini tube and it doesn't have the chance to get like loaded up the same way the full size does. And then here's another issue. Look at the size of this cap and then the length of the wand. It's so short, so it's going to be kind of different just getting that in touch with your lashes. So I don't know. I guess the takeaway there is just realize that sometimes when you use mini mascaras, it's not going to give you the best indication of what your experience with the full size might be. It's just the way it is. Some are better than others. Some are longer than others. I would say the bigger the tube of your mini mascara, and plus like doing this, trying to work up some more product onto there, like you think that's actually working? This is so short. But the longer the tube, I think the better sense you will get of what that mascara is actually like. But this builds up so nicely. I really like the length that I get out of this mascara. Alrighty, I've got my mascara on. I'm feeling kind of like blah about the eye look. I don't know, the navy there, and then maybe the shade I brought in, you know, that rose gold, just didn't really liven things up too much. I'm definitely feeling like I need more blush. Hey, sometimes you get to the end of a look and things just aren't all hunky-dory, okay? Get a little bit of this. This'll help, right? Blush makes everything better. It really does. I mean, that would be my thing. Like, you get to the end of your look and you're kind of underwhelmed. Add more blush, but we still have lips coming, okay? I have a tiny lip liner here. This is from Sephora collection. The shade is 02 Nothing But Nude Rouge Gel lip liner. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Oh, it actually does twist up at the bottom. Okay, nice little nude. Okay, very earthy. I think I'll just fill in the lips. This will be our nice little lip evener outer. It's very creamy, by the way. I'm 95% sure this came in a Sephora play box. They're always throwing in mini Sephora collection lip products in mine. How about you? I tell you what, that in itself is not a bad nude. Ooh, and it actually feels creamy, like I pressed my lips together. I can feel some moisture there. But here's what we've got lip-wise, y'all. I got this box. Says Dior on it. I think this may have come as a free sample type set from Nordstrom. And it's all these little Stellar Shine Vibrant Color Hydrating Lip Care Shine. I feel like I've just pulled out a deck of cards here or something. What do we want to do? I feel like this shade, you know, has a lot of brightness to it. I'm not quite sure. Hydrating Care Lip Shine. What is this going to be like? I guess it's normally packaged like that. Can you see that outline? So this is the shade 976B Dior. Oh, it looks like a lot of color actually pressed in there. Okay. I'm just going in with my finger because my lip brush is not handy right now. Really smooth, like kind of feels like a thin tinted balm, but as you can see, it's giving me a lot of color intensity. Wow. Smells good, smells like vanilla. Doesn't seem to be any shimmer in it. It's just a full colored berry lip product, but very, very thin. And like I'm dipping into this, but I've got a lot there actually. Like that's a pretty generous little lip sample thing. And then you can kind of pull that foil back up and just slip it down in here and you could use that again many times over. Does it have Stellar Shine? I think it does actually. All right, Dior coming in with the generous sample. That was cool. I think that's one of the most well done samples that was involved here because like the little cards here on these sheets, I think it's great that they're giving you plenty of shades to draw from. I think that's cool. But if they could give you just a little more of each shade, that would be awesome. Because with this Stay Naked foundation, I really felt like it took 2 samples to get probably what would amount to a full pump, maybe almost a full pump, but I was not blown away by this. This is not driving me to want to purchase this product in a full size. While yes, it did have some coverage, medium coverage, I'll even give it that. The look of my skin just wasn't blowing me away at the end, and I kind of feel the same way about the Beyond Perfecting Super Concealer from Clinique. I do think this has really good coverage. I think the shade was a little off for me to enjoy its best coverage capability. I just got a lot of concealer right now, so I don't think I'm going to be seeking that out. Bless its heart, this little bitty airbrush blurring foundation brush, it's the number 101 from the IT Cosmetics for Ulta brush line. This was really nice. Like that is a small brush, but I felt effectively blended all over with that. The Wander Glotion, again, it's one of those things where I think the drugstores pretty much got it covered in terms of glowy primers. Actually really like the formula in this Laura Geller Double Take Baked Versatile Powder Foundation. Here's the thing though, I'm gonna have this forever. Like her samples, her small size products last so long. They're domed up. It usually doesn't take a lot of them because they're pretty pigmented, and I have had some of her sample products for so long. Now on that butter train, we kind of use that as our highlight, blush, and bronzer. The deep bronzer shade here, I think very workable, more universally workable, so to speak, I think, than their lightest shade. Like I could see a lot of people making the deep bronzer work. Love that shade called Vintage Rouge for the blush. If you're ever seeking out like a full size of one of these, like that's a really intense, nice color. And then Champagne was a decent highlight. I didn't think it was as pretty as that iridescent one that I used out of their Butter Book recently, but it's still a nice shade and it looks very gold in the compact, but don't be thrown by that. It can still look very wearable on the skin, just buff it out. Of course, I love Urban Decay All Nighter, and I'm glad to have a mini that I will totally use in any sort of travel capacity going forward. The Hourglass Mascara, beautiful length. Like I don't know if you can tell the length that I really achieved there, but it builds on itself really, really nicely. This Beauty by Pop Sugar, the little eyeshadow stack, I am not blown away by the eye look. I think it just is kind of murky and blah. I don't think it's because the shadows were poor quality. I think it's more about the color scheme. Beautiful lip liner here from the Sephora collection. It's tiny, but it went on so smoothly and easily. I really have no complaints. It kind of reminds me of that Maybelline that I used very recently, the Color Sensational Shaping Lip Liner. Like actually very similar tone. Maybe this is a little bit deeper, but I'll keep using it. And then the Dior Stellar Shines, which again, I think they're packaged like that in the full size. You know, they've got that little like knobby thing on the end. This feels fantastic on the lips, and I think the samples are actually super generous there. So guys, let me know if you enjoyed this. Would you like to see maybe a round 2 at some point when I get some other samples on hand? I think it's just a great way to sort of branch yourself out and look at those things that you've maybe been hoarding or just compiling in a little section, a little drawer, basket, whatever, and try them out and see what works for you. For me, the sample I really have the most of are like foundation complexion type things. I've got a lot more primers and foundations and whatnot in this little bag from Ulta, so I'm gonna try to keep myself dipping in there on a regular basis just to try something new. So thanks so much everybody for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.